Hello, everybody. We're just waiting for a few people to pop into the chat. I'm so glad that we're here today. Well, this is part four of a workplace wellness series, and it's going to be really, really exciting today because our speaker, Cindy Smarsh, is going to kind of tie all the ends together so that we will leave with a really good idea of what to do next to help make our workplace better for us and better for our employees. And let me tell you a little bit about Cindy. Cindy is the founder of the Kindness Principles and the creator of the Kindness Code, which, when implemented into corporate America, it makes life so much better for everyone by increasing employee productivity. People are happy to come to work, teams function better, and ultimately, the bottom line gets bigger,
Mm.
which is what I think some of our bosses might want to hear.
I think we all want to hear that, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what we want to hear.
That's one of the
So,
things.
would you like to start, Cindy? It's
Yeah, I'm ready to
10:32.
roll. Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. I'm gonna pop off. I'll be in the background talking to people, but I
Okay.
am going to change this over here.
Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction. And yeah, I've had a long history of supporting people in their own personal and professional success and happiness, and whatever that definition is for them. And I've been a counselor doing that, a coach, a speaker, trainer, author, writer, blah, 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 doing that work for over 35 years. And this last year, it just occurred. I was asking myself, what does the world need? What does the world need everywhere we go? What does it need? And I thought, more kindness. And so I've been on this deep dive, understanding, thinking about the corporate space. What could kindness do in the corporate space? And there's tons of research that proves that when companies incorporate workplace well-being, kindness initiatives, keep people a people first culture, that all the numbers they want to change in a positive direction. And so I'm on a mission to make sure that leaders, teams, HR professionals, that all of you out there working day in, day out so very hard have all the information and tools that you can get that will support the culture of your workplace growing in a positive direction and creating a kind of productivity and morale and satisfaction and success on your terms, whatever that looks like for your company, that you've always wanted. So, in our last training, we talked about the concept of first person leadership, which is a phrase that I have coined to really teach specifics about leadership that promotes a culture of workplace well-being. And the three things I talked about, the three prongs of that last time, were taking 100% responsibility for your life, handling challenges well, and communicating effectively. So I really encourage you to find that training if you did not get it or receive it. If you registered last time, you received the guide that goes with it and so forth. But you can also find these trainings all on my YouTube channel, Cindy Smarsh, The Kindness Principles. But today I want to offer two more legs of that first person leadership concept, and then move into talking about the issue that I find coming up more and more all the time, and that is change. How do we manage change? Change is happening so fast. What do we do about that? And then I'll talk a little bit about how the kindness code can help with that as well. So that's where we're going today. We welcome your questions or comments in the chat. Dr. Sally Good is monitoring that while I teach, and then we'll address anything that we can. So let's talk about some other tenets of first person leadership. So number one today is you are, as a leader, a difference maker, whether you see yourself as that or not. Leaders are difference makers. They're doers, they're movers, they're shakers. They are thought filled visionaries with strong ideas about what is important to them, to the company, and to society at large, actually. And they understand that how they show up wherever they are, in the meeting, in their office, wherever they are, will affect the lives of everyone around them. And so, if you're a leader, I want you to think of yourself as a difference maker. I want you to understand how powerful just how you show up and how you walk around and carry yourself can make a huge difference. So, some parts of this is to hold a strong vision for the company, keep that in the forefront of everyone's minds, and actively pursue what is important in regards to that in all aspects of the corporation. And then consider the greater good of everybody in your efforts, right? Because it's we want everything to be a win-win as much as possible, and live your values in this role as a difference maker for sure. Show up authentically, living your values, and then make wise decisions with great thought and consideration. If you can hold off on making quick decisions unless you have a certainty about, the answer to a question you're facing, take a breath, take some time, and be thought filled and use all your skill sets and wisdom you have, your experience. You're a leader. So you want to really step into that. Leaders don't hurry. They use discernment and wisdom. And so whether you've ever thought of yourself as a difference maker or not, you actually are. So I want you to embrace that part of yourself. And then number two is creating a people first culture. So, putting people first is an effective leadership practice. And this means that you are one of those people, that you are a person and just like everyone else. And I know that you know that intellectually. Well, of course I am, duh, Cindy. But sometimes leaders have this pressure within to not be as human as they actually are. And so if you can show up real as you can without feeling like you're crossing any of your own personal boundaries at work or whatever, that is powerful to the other people who want to show up as themselves as well, who just want to be the human beings that they are. So, and then as you fill your own cup, so to speak, taking care of yourself, because first person leaders take care of themselves, you'll have more to give to the others around you, and the ripple effect will be incredible. So, when you want to prioritize your relationships at the office, even above mission, that may sound counterproductive, but it is not. So, you want to be willing to learn from other people, even though you are a leader. You want to stay in tune with yourself and take care of yourself, because I know many of you in leadership positions are overwhelmed, you're over functioning, you're overworking, you're bearing many, many burdens, many of which the rest of the teams don't even realize. And so your self care and your ability to manage feelings of burnout and stress are incredibly powerful in creating a people based culture that's going to be healthy for everybody else. And you want to inspire and uplift other people, which is very supportive, and keep agreements with them that you make as much as you're able to, even if it's, yes, I will, carve out 10 minutes to talk to you later today. Do everything you can to keep those agreements, because you're attempting to build trust with people, of course. And even keeping a little agreement like that is very important in trust building, right? And if you can't follow through that day, then as quickly as you know that you can't keep an agreement with any of the team, communicate that and offer an alternative. This is acting from a place of integrity, and it means the world to people. This is treating them with great respect and grace, just like you want in your position, right? So we want to be kind and respectful, even when there are times as leaders we have to be assertive. So you can do that with graciousness as well. And then live a life, live and work in your life with integrity at all times. So there's a former CEO of the WD-40 company named Gary Ridge, and he was considered one of the most successful CEOs of all times. And here is a quote from him. He says, "People need to belong, feel valued, and where mistakes are framed as learning opportunities." And he kept satisfaction levels at work at 97% even during COVID. Some of the things he did to create that safety and well-being amongst people was he brought in virtual comedians, he had French food classes taught online for the teams. He helped them do everything he could to help them feel safe and well. And he was quoted as saying, "Our culture is about the people, not our product." So, what's interesting is that the company was wildly successful, even though he said their company was about the people, not the product. So, it's just an interesting example of when putting people first has actually proven that that is a success strategy that we can all strive to work on. So, those are a couple little additional tenets of the first person leadership concept that you can take in today and go back and hear the other ones if you have not already. So, one of the greatest issues I hear from people in the corporate space all the time, either HR professionals or other types of leaders, is the fear of change and how fast things are changing, especially in this AI movement now that's just really shaking things up in the corporate spaces, well, in all spaces, really. And we're hearing more about layoffs, of course, and all kinds of things that are really, really shaking people up. And so I want to dialogue a bit about change and offer some strategies and ideas around change that may be helpful to keep in mind as you're working on navigating it in your own organization. So, the definition of change is the experience of something new. That is the most basic, straightforward definition of what change really is. It's just the experience of something new. I mean, it doesn't sound that scary when you just define it that simply, right? But we do resist change. We humans are very resistant to change, right? And why is that? Well, the word, just by its nature, tends to instill fear and anxiety and stress in people because we are creatures of habit, we are routine oriented, and often in the corporate space, there is a common attitude of we've always done things this way. And so, therefore, when someone comes in and says, "Oh, now we're gonna, now we're gonna incorporate this whole new technical tool, or now we've decided to, switch things around or whatever," people go, "Ugh," right? "Oh no, oh my gosh." And they feel this lack of control, right? Suddenly we feel like it's out of control. We don't have any control. And so there's a helplessness that begins to stir up within people, whether it's accurate or not. Well, they're not helpless. I'll just say that right now, but they feel helpless. They feel vulnerable. And some can even adopt a victim mentality. So that's even a more in-depth response to change, but it is very common. So some other things about change. That's why we resist it, right? But some things to keep in mind and maybe communicate, with your teams, or have this be more the tone in your environment, is that change is normal, actually, for all of us in our personal lives and our professional lives. It's one of the most reliable things on earth that we can count on is change, like, because very little stays the same. So it's something we can rely on, it's something we can count on. And so, but as of course, as we're working to support people through it, we need to remember they feel a lack of control. And it's also, change is also associated with loss. Okay, that's another piece that maybe gets lost in corporate languaging. Change is associated with loss. So when we have a loss in our human experience, it's usually associated with change, right? We lose a job, we lose someone to death, we lose our home, we lose our health, we lose a friend, we lose, there's all kinds of things, and it's associated, it's changes that bring it on. And so it doesn't have a great, track record in our life, right? But again, we also have changes in life that are, we would label positive. We graduate, we move to a new city that we want to move to. Some people get married, some have children, some learn a new hobby, some you get an award. I mean, there are some get the promotion. There are changes that feel good too, but a lot of times we associate it with loss. So to keep that in mind, but change is normal. We can count on change. So another point is that adaptability is a skill, right? It is a skill, and we need to develop it. So we need to help our teams develop it as well, right? And one of the greatest ways to begin to develop adaptability is to create a sense of safety and well-being. So anything that you can do to give your teams a sense of well-being, this will help with the chaos or the roller coaster ride they may feel that they are on with changes. And remember too that the resistance to change is our brain protecting us, because we have this beautiful brain, all of us, which is our protective mechanism, our biological response to anything different from the brain is, uh-oh, something's different. I need to protect him. I need to protect her. I need to protect them. So that is why we often go into fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, fight, flight, or freeze, of course. These are protective responses to change. And the answer to all of them is safety. So people need to feel safe because they don't. The brain tells you, uh-oh, nope, danger, danger, something's different. And so how do we do that? How do we help people feel calm down, even in facing lots of changes, and they're not sure what the future is going to look like, or if they even have a future with the company, things like that. What helps is transparency, being as transparent as you can about what's going on. Having meetings behind closed doors is instills more fear, even if it's a very positive meeting that, but it just instills fear. And so you want to give as much transparency as you can that's appropriate for everyone to know in the company, and then validate their feelings. If you hear anxiety or fear in the voices, or doubt in the voices of your teams, you don't want to say, oh, don't worry about it, you don't have anything to be afraid of, it'll be okay, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. You want to go, yeah, this is, I get it, change is scary, we're not sure how this is all going to go, this is some of what we're aiming for, this is what we're hoping for, and how this will fit into our mission or our goals, which is this. So ground them in by validating their feelings and letting it be okay that they're resistant, that they're not sure, and they feel shaky. And then give them as much information as you can that will hopefully absolve some of that stress and fear. And then keeping whatever routines or aspects of your workplace that is, a part of things, that's been a part of the schedule, that's been a part of the way you operate, keeping as much of that uh, remaining that you can is also really good. I did this in my own life. This is a little segue, but I did this in my own life when I got divorced when my kids were teenagers. I divorced their father, and we moved across town just a couple miles from him. But the only thing that changed in their lives was that their mom and dad were no longer married. I tried to, even though that was a very upsetting change for everybody, right? I reminded them that they would still have their friends, they would still have their dad's full support, they would still have my full support, they would still have traditions with both sides of their families, they would still remain in all their school activities, their routines were going to remain basically the same. You know, I reminded them of all the things that were going to remain stable in their lives despite this other piece that was going to look a little different. And that's what I'm asking you to do in your organizations is how can you reassure your teams that even though there's this going on, this going on, this going on, that this will remain the same, this will remain the same, or you know, we're going to keep up with the this, you know, routine as teams or as an organization and so forth, even in the midst of all this change. So Jack Canfield, who is called himself America's #1 success coach, taught change, the language of change, as reframed as constant and never ending improvement. And I love that. So instead of calling something change, we've got another change coming, you might say, hey, one of our values as a company is we strive for constant and never ending improvement. And so one of our new initiatives is how to incorporate AI in our work or whatever your changes are. I keep using AI as an example because that's what I hear all the time right now. So this language of constant and never ending improvement is change. That's what it's saying, but it's a much less scary phrase and it's very positive and it's motivating. And so, how we language things as leaders and how we approach things and communicate about it can really make a difference in the tone that it is received out there. So, we want to help teams embrace change, and that is really a movement from the loss and doubt, feelings of loss and doubt, you know, fear, anxiety, and stress to a process of feeling understanding and integration, right? So the goal of successful change is to help teams understand like how this is big picture, the way to go, or an initiative to see how it will go, and then to integrate it into everyone's work, every team, every aspect of the organization. So, and you may help them process their feelings or even your own by asking these questions. What am I actually afraid of here? What are my fears about this? And what benefits might there be in this change? If you can explain to your teams and talk about benefits you see in the changes that you're implementing right now, that can be comforting as well. And what would cooperating with this change look like? Ask them to ask themselves, wow, if I was going to cooperate with this change, how would I show up? Like what would be different about how I, you know, show up in my work each day? And then what's the next best step I can take to move with this change? Because the change is happening. Changes are always happening. And many of you are going through pretty significant changes right now. And so we might as well embrace it, right? Because we're going, it's happening. So helping people to get on board as much as possible and get into the flow of it will make a huge difference. You know, one of the things that that I have created is the kindness code. And this is an entire strategy to increase workplace well being and collective success. But I want to highlight a couple pieces of the kindness code in terms of dealing with change. And that is the letter I. Kindness is an acronym in this system. And the letter I stands for integrating all aspects of the organization and inspiring positivity. And I'm sure it is self-explanatory how in a moment of change these can be helpful. So again, how you language and talk about change yourself, how you show up as a healthy, happy leader, a leader with certainty, a leader that's confident in what's going on and confident in your team, that will inspire positivity in your team members as well, if they will stay open to that. And then integrating everyone is how can you help every department, every team, every individual within the company feel a part of this change, whether they are directly affected or more secondary players or even further out in regards to the changes rolling out. People want to feel like they're making a difference. That's one of the drivers of employee loyalty, is how do I make a difference? And if you can communicate that and constantly connect the dots from one part of the company life to another, that will really help ground everyone in this foundation of we're in it together, we're moving through this together, we're reaching the mission, the goals together. And then the N, there's two N's in kindness, nurturing their personal and professional growth. Now, one of the scary things going on, right, is that people don't know how to use AI. And and they're worried they're going to be replaced by AI. But one of the realities is that they won't a lot of people aren't going to be replaced with AI, but they might get replaced by someone who embraces AI and learns how to use it. Right. And so if you want your team to learn AI and that's what's required for them to do their jobs effectively and remain in the organization, then you want to provide them every resource you can, every training you can, time to really learn as best as they can, give them a chance and help them to understand that you are nurturing their professional growth, that you see them as being able to do this as much as you possibly can. So that's one way to nurture. And the other is to have constant wellness initiatives in your space. Because again, their safety and well being is one of the best things you can do to reduce anxiety, reduce stress, calm them down, and help them show up more as much as authentically themselves as they can. Because when people are in fear and stress and anxiety, they don't perform as well. They don't react as well to things. They can't even concentrate and focus as well. And so again, put their well-being as your number one thing and they will navigate better. And the other N in kindness in the kindness code is to navigate the mission, the vision, and the purpose, and doing your best to tie or create with teams or maybe even individuals within those teams what is my mission here in the company, or what is our team's mission or our department's mission, and how does all of that align with the company wide mission or vision or goals. Again, we want to give people passion behind what they're doing. We want them to feel like they belong and that they matter. This is very important, and this will drive their loyalty even more than you might think a promotion or a raise or whatever might affect. So again, keep the mission mindedness and help them align their own passions, their own values right in with the companies, and help them understand how their strengths are needed, wanted, and utilized well. That is one of the greatest skill sets as a leader that you can, uh, pull out of your pocket right now when you have the organization changing a great deal. Just some last thoughts, and then if you have questions, I'd be happy to address them. Successful changers show up with these attitudes. So you want to nurture these attitudes in yourself and in your teams as much as possible. I am eager to learn. I am grateful for what I have. It is important to me to take action toward a positive outcome. I have something to offer this experience. Imagine if you could nurture those attitudes into everybody in the company, even when there's chaos and unpredictability and new things going on and things you're trying or things that that are that life is requiring you at the office, if they can feel they have something to offer this experience, that is very inspiring for people. And then beliefs to instill. I believe change is a normal and necessary part of life. We talked about that before. I believe I must take responsibility for my part in what is happening and how I feel. And you want to get them feeling in a power position. I believe change can be an adventure and a challenge that brings out the best in me. Wow, what if change brought out the best in all of us? Wouldn't that be great? And I believe I can handle whatever happens in my life. So if you can have the beliefs like this, attitudes like this as part of your company culture and part of how you language through daily life as a company, this will make a difference for sure. And internal skill sets to nurture in yourself and others, courage, of course, courage. We all need that, especially in change, right? Responsibility, focus, commitment, and perspective. Those are internal skill sets to nurture in yourself and in your teams that will absolutely help your company navigate change better and increase workplace well-being in spite of those changes. So that is what I have for you today. I hope this is helpful. Do we have questions or comments from anyone? Anyone? There's a lot going on in the chat, I see. Um, Sally, do you see any questions or comments that I should address?
Um, not at the moment, but
Okay.
there's there's some there's an opportunity if people want to pop in. I'm just making some comments about what you just said.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any questions? Does any of this resonate, or what are you finding that's been challenging for you in dealing with change and so forth?
Earlier, one of our poll takers said that having employees not produce the greatest chance for full productivity. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't get a lot of, I don't know the circumstances, but how do
Yeah.
we help the employee who's kind of lagging behind the rest of the people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And of course, there could be many, many reasons that's happening. And so, understanding more of the dynamics there of what's happening, that the productivity is down, maybe morale is down, maybe they have a health issue, maybe they aren't sleeping well, maybe they're having a major issue in their personal lives that's causing them to drag a bit at work, or maybe they're losing a sense of connection, losing a sense of belonging. Maybe they're afraid of something going on there at the company, or they don't like the direction the company's taking. Maybe they're burned out, who knows. Whatever it is, if you can give them some time, notice that they are not producing, but not in a punitive way, but rather, take them aside, say, hey, I we're used to seeing this and this and this from you, and that's why you've been such a vital part of this organization. And now I'm noticing that it doesn't appear that you're as inspired in meetings, or you're not, your bottom line isn't the same. What can you tell me about that? What's going on? Is there anything I can be helpful about? So approaching it like that, opening the door for a real conversation, you will learn a lot. As I talked about in the third part 3 of this series, listening is one of your most powerful assets. When you can really listen to what your team has to say, what's going on with them individually, or what ideas they have about what's happening, you will learn loads. And it doesn't mean you can fix every problem they bring or incorporate every idea they have. It's not necessarily that expectation, but rather listening. It is a superpower. And so I would take them aside and show that you care, because I know you do. But sometimes you have so much going on that it's hard to find time to show it in such a real personal way. But remember, humans need connection and belonging. We need connection and belonging everywhere in our lives. And we spend so much time at work. Work is usually a huge part of our life and about our psyche. And so if you know someone's not themselves at the office, I would pull them aside, have a conversation, and see what can get uncovered in that conversation. And based on what you hear, I would encourage, some self-care support, maybe use, offer them some coaching, or if you have an EAP kind of program, offer them some kind of, support that way. Or if they need more flexibility in their schedules, maybe they're overburdened with work. Are they working too hard? Has too much been dumped on their plate? Which I know is happening in a lot of places, and we got to watch that. We got to watch the balance, because that can lead to so many things you do not want, of course. So I just can't say it enough. I would have the conversation first, see what you learn, and then how can you nurture this person? How can you nurture them personally, which will nurture them professionally to move forward?
Well, Mrs. Bennett, Azada, am I saying that right? It's a pretty name. He made this nice comment. Thank you for this. I work with leadership as a team and improves the communication. I see this as a good part to focus on as an individual leadership and personal wellness.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that feedback. I'm so grateful you were here today and that it meant something. That's warms my heart that it meant something, and you think there's something that can be utilized from that. So thank you so much for taking time out to be here.
Now, if
Thank
you'd like to save this chat, you can press the three dots at the very top,
you.
and it'll say save chat, and it'll go into a file that says that's labeled Zoom under your personal drive, and it'll be just everything that you've seen and written while you were here.
That's fabulous, Sally. Thank you so much for explaining that to our participants. And the other thing is that we will be posting this training on my YouTube channel, which is Cindy Smarsh, the Kindness Principles. So you can find that on YouTube. And it will also be a podcast episode on the Kindness Principles podcast with Cindy Smarsh, with me. So you can listen to it again if that's helpful, go over it again if you'd like, or share it with another team member or leader you know. And if you'd like to have a conversation with me about how I can come into your organization and offer coaching or training, workshops, anything with using the kindness code to really drive collective success and increase that workplace well-being, and really help you step into first person leadership on every level, so you can create the professional life you want as well for your organization, feel free to just DM me on LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation, and I can hear more about what your pain points are, what problems you're really facing, and see if there's a way that I can be more supportive for you.
So this is fantastic. I'm so glad that we were able to hear this. You could take this particular episode and turn it into like 5 or 6, because there's so much really vital information. You've just put the pin in like some major things, but the next step is, how do we make those shifts? What does it take to make those shifts within the organization? And that's where your level of expertise comes in. So I would encourage anyone who's listening to this recording either now or next time to just have a coffee chat conversation and just see what aspects might be helpful for you, or just to get to know each other. It always begins with just building a relationship, and that permeates the entire organization. building that relationship is what really drives people to stay with you and want to do the best that they can.
Yes, I'm here to serve, and I don't think I'm too scary. So, yes, if you'd like to have a conversation, don't worry. I'm not scary at all. I just want to serve. So, thank you so much for being here. And oh, I see. Oh, thank you. You are lovely and friendly. Oh, you're so sweet. As are you. It takes one to know one. As a day. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I love it. You're going to have to teach me sometime how to say that properly. I'm sorry if I butchered it. So, Ms. Bennett, thank you so much.
Yes.
Awesome
Eh,
day. Awesome
Awesome.
day. Oh, I love it. Yeah. That's great. Wonderful.
Okay. Well, we're going to sign off now, and this replay will be available in a couple of days. And usually, what happens is I have my VA send a copy to each person who registered,
Mm.
and they can review it and then also share it with team members. Do you have any last goodbyes, Miss Cindy?
No, just thank you so much, Sally, for having me here and hosting these classes. I think it's been a great experience to have these 4 trainings with you. So thank you so much. And thank you for those of you who are here who've been with us in each of these 4 trainings. And those of you who've watched the replay, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.